Hello, I'm Warren Watson, the Director of the J-Ideas Initiative at Ball State University, and welcome to our Constitution Day program, our Living History, a celebration of the Constitution. We are outside the Archives and Special Collections area in Bracken Library on the campus of Ball State University. We have produced this teaching video as part of our mission to improve civic and constitutional awareness at schools nationwide. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes once said that our Constitution was an experiment. That's an understatement. The document has endured since the summer of 1787, when our founding fathers met in Philadelphia to develop a form of government that would lead our new nation forward. Today, many of us take our Constitution, with its Bill of Rights and 27 amendments, for granted. Maybe that's because it has worked so well. Some called it a bloodless Second American Revolution. Between 1971 and 1990, 110 of the world's 162 constitutions were either written or revised. Since 1789, France has drafted no fewer than 15 constitutions. Even our neighbor, Canada, adopted its most recent constitution in 1982. By comparison, the U.S. Constitution has lasted for more than 200 years, making it the oldest written constitution in the world. In this video, you will hear from lawyers and scholars, journalists and authors, students and teachers. You will hear what the Constitution means to them as members of our extended American family. After our stunning victory over the British in 1783, the United States was guided by the Articles of Confederation, which created a loose association of 13 states, but provided no strong central union. It was a fragile nation. No real authority, no military to speak of, no ability to effectively raise taxes, no ability to regulate interstate commerce. An ongoing revolt of farmers and Revolutionary War veterans in Massachusetts, Shays' Rebellion, showed just how dangerous a time it was. The American Revolution had ended in 1783, but the country was in crisis. In western Massachusetts, an economic depression forced people unable to pay debts first into court, then into jail. The problems were viewed as arising from rich merchants in Boston who demanded hard currency to pay foreign lenders. The frustrated farmers reacted with an armed uprising that lasted for 6 months at the end of 1786 and the start of 1787. The ineffectiveness of the new nation in dealing with this crisis exposed the Articles of Confederation as too weak a system to drive the nation forward. Warring European powers also eyed the new nation. Britain certainly wanted the new government to fail. It would actually wage war on the United States years later in 1812. So fresh off the victory over King George in the American Revolution, many Americans in 1787 began to wonder, could our new nation survive? The rest, as they say, is history. Congress decided to convene a convention of delegates from all 13 states in the summer of 1787. The Articles needed to be strengthened. Early on, the delegates, including James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and Benjamin Franklin, among others, moved toward the creation of a new document, which would create a strong central government. After agreement on the thrust of the new Constitution, the central question remained: should the document contain a specific list of guaranteed rights for its citizens, a Bill of Rights? That debate would play out for a few more years, resulting in the Bill of Rights, our first 10 amendments to the new Constitution. On September 17, 1787, delegates approved the new Constitution at the Philadelphia Convention. George Washington became the first president 2 years later. The first Congress passed the Bill of Rights during Washington's first term, assuring citizens that their liberties would be guaranteed within that stronger central government. The Constitution today remains a living document. Although the core has not been revised, additional amendments have been added. They largely have expanded freedoms, including the right to vote, to African Americans, to women, and to young people. Thanks to the generous support of Ball State University, its College of Communication, Information, and Media, and the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, we have produced this video to help teachers and principals better introduce the Constitution in the classroom. What better subject to teach? Joining our discussion today are Juli Metzger, who is the president and publisher of the Muncie Star Press and the Marion Chronicle Tribune. Joe McKinney, a lawyer and chairman of the Department of Educational Leadership at Ball State University. And finally, joining us from Washington, D.C., Linda Monk, a constitutional scholar and teacher and the author of The Words We Live By, Your Annotated Guide to the Constitution. Our audience today includes journalism students from the Muncie, Indiana campus of Ball State University. They will be participating in the program a little bit later on. We're going to start with a little history, Linda, who joins us from American University. Jon Stewart, the very popular and insightful comedian and host of The Daily Show, has joked that if the Declaration of Independence is the nation's sales pitch, then the Constitution is our driver's manual. Tell us a little bit, Linda, about the background of the Constitution. Why was it created in the first place?
Well, many people would say that the reason our Constitution signed in 1787 was created is because our first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, didn't work. It created sort of a loose league of friendship amongst the 13 states. You can think of them really as a big case of sibling rivalry. Everybody wanted absolute power. No one wanted to share power. And as a result, the nation as a whole was suffering. George Washington, after his retirement to Mount Vernon, had said, "What a triumph for our enemies that we have proven incapable of governing ourselves." So he realized what was at stake, and even though he'd rather stay in his retirement at beautiful Mount Vernon, he was involved with several other of the framers in talking about the possibility of a different form of government. The Confederation Congress then made a resolution saying that there would be a conference in Philadelphia, but to amend the Articles of Confederation. Well, we know that once they got to that convention in Philadelphia, they did a lot more than amend. They essentially abandoned the Articles of Confederation.
So was there a fear that the government might not be stable enough under the Articles?
Well, not just a fear, but a reality. If you recall, in 1786, 1787, there was something called Shays' Rebellion in western Massachusetts. These were veterans of the Revolutionary War who had not been paid the money they were due, and